slow, about 0.01 millimeters a year.
This grandpa loved performing magic tricks in his free time. Since his kids had left and his wife passed years ago, magic was all he had. But no one knew he was secretly battling cancer. When his health got worse and he ended up in the hospital, he decided to perform one last magic trick on camera. This grandpa loved performing magic tricks in his free time. Since his kids had left and his wife passed years ago, magic was all he had. But
look, this guy puts a lot of stones in a machine to crush them into small pieces, but suddenly he finds a strange stone among them and decides to take it out. It was very dirty, so he couldn't see it clearly. He carefully washes it in a bowl of water nearby. After cleaning it for a while, he discovers that it is a beautiful heart-shaped stone, and
you put your hand on this black Mickey Mouse and wait 2 seconds because soon you'll be greeted by this friendly stingray that you can now feed through your hands. So this place is designed to lure wild stingrays in so you get a chance to touch and feel them. While stingrays are dangerous and even deadly, but at this park, their stingers are removed so you can safely pet and feed them.
In China, if a student comes to school with a small lunchbox like this, don't steal it. At home, the mom prepares a regular lunchbox and a smaller one. She secretly puts the small one into the child's bag. She does this so that if there's a hungry child in the classroom, every student can give that child their own small lunchbox. In China, if a student...
Is it possible to build houses completely like Lego without steel or mortar? This system eliminates the need for skilled craftsmanship or any binding materials. By simply stacking special interlocking bricks using a click-click method, construction that once took weeks is reduced to just days. These perlite bricks also require no additional insulation and are highly resistant to fire and earthquakes. Is it possible to build houses?
This bro uses this gadget to clear the snow in front of his house. Clearing it normally would take a lot of time and effort, but with this gadget, the snow is blown away in just a few seconds. This bro uses this gadget to clear the snow in front of his house.
This restaurant owner gave their staff a wild challenge. They would have to decorate a plate using only some red paint and 1 spoon stroke. The assistant manager went first, but the result barely stood out. Then the co-owner gave it a shot, and it still wasn't quite there. Next, the supervisor tried and came up with the cleanest design so far. But when the bar captain stepped in, his attempt was completely tragic. And finally, the designer took his turn, and his work was surprisingly creative. This restaurant owner gave their staff a wild challenge. They would have to decorate a plate using only some red paint and 1 spoon stroke. The assistant manager went first, but the result barely stood out. Then the co-owner gave it a shot, and it still wasn't quite there. Next, the supervisor tried and came up.
This cake seller should open global franchises like McDonald's. Because even with... This guy is known as Jake, also called the Glitch Shot Guy. He always keeps you guessing about what he'll do next. The nickname isn't just for show. Every trick shot he pulls off looks like it's breaking the laws of...
Just 1 hour before death. If you could pick your final meal, what would you choose? Devoured.
After Randy took an RKO from his own son, it felt like no one else could ever hit him with one.
When this giant wheel of cheese is revealed, everyone thinks they're about to dump it into the food. But instead, the waiter starts scraping the inside until it turns into soft, cheesy flakes. Then she pours hot pasta right into the cheese wheel and mixes it fast. And just like that, it turns into a dish called cheese pasta, famous because the flavor comes directly from the cheese wheel. When this giant wheel of cheese is revealed, everyone thinks they're about to dump it into the food, but instead, the waiter starts...
If an elephant gets a thorn or a nail stuck in its foot, it feels intense pain because all its weight rests on its feet. The bottom of an elephant's foot is soft and small objects can get trapped.
This is cupping therapy, an ancient healing method that's been practiced for thousands of years. It uses glass cups placed on specific points of the body, then creates a vacuum, either with heat or suction, to pull the skin upward. Many believe this technique helps improve blood circulation, relax tense muscles, and relieve pain naturally. This is cupping therapy, and
after this girl was struggling to get her ice cream, she came up with a life hack, but soon realized it was her biggest mistake yet.
This headphone is a solution for hearing problems.
When this man was told he'd win a prize if he could make a hole-filled loaf of bread in just 10 seconds, he jumped right in. He spread the dough across the pan with his hands, then used a tool to score lines down the middle. It didn't look great at first, so he quickly lifted it and dropped it.
This guy learned how to laugh without smiling, and when he told his girlfriend, she did not believe him, so he decided to prove it, and her reaction was hilarious.
I learned how to laugh without smiling.
You didn't.
I did. And I want to show you, but first, you got to tell me a good joke. Second, if I can prove to you that I can do this, you got to leave me alone for the rest of the weekend because NBA just started and I'm trying to watch all the games. NFL's ongoing, you know how that is.
Okay, why can't you trust the king of the jungle?
Why not?
Because he always be lying.
This guy.
If you live in the coldest city on Earth, you will become rich. Welcome to Yakutsk, where temperatures can drop to minus 96 degrees Fahrenheit. At these levels, you can...
To all the bikers, please don't be lazy and pedal.
A father and daughter were driving when the car in front suddenly...
This is why you should never judge strangers at the gym too quickly. When this guy picked up just 2-kilogram dumbbells, the bodybuilder next to him started smiling. But the moment he realized what the weights were actually being used for, that smile vanished instantly.
This fishing hook lets you cheat while fishing because big fish normally ignore dead bait. So this guy created a gadget that makes dead fish look alive by putting this tube in it.
When you see doctors using a saw on a patient's cast, it looks terrifying, but that's actually the safest option because this tool doesn't rotate like regular saws. Instead of spinning, it vibrates, and that vibration easily cuts hard.
Mr. Sandman. That's genuinely crazy. There's like actual little pieces of lychee in there.
This is why schools have showers no one is allowed to touch. Because although they look unnecessary, they're actually safety showers designed for emergencies. The water might look dirty at first, but that's only because the pipes aren't used often. And the reason teachers warn you to never pull the lever for fun is simple. The moment it's activated, the lab floods within seconds. These showers exist for chemistry accidents, meaning if chemicals spill on you, you don't ask permission, you run straight to it and pull the handle. This is why schools have showers no one is allowed to touch. Because although they look unnecessary, they're actually safety showers.
This man's wife was screaming at him to stop because she thought he was destroying their home with ugly firewood. She told him to throw the dirty logs away, but he had a genius vision. He arranged the raw wood on the floor and used a torch to burn the grain to perfection. Then he poured a river of liquid glass over the entire room to seal it forever. The result is a satisfying mirror finish that looks like a 5-star luxury cabin. But sadly, she said she will divorce him and take the...
When the train reached the stopping point, the dog...
This is why you should not pull an arrow out of a target with your bare hands. The coach explained that the shaft of the arrow can have tiny, sharp splinters, and if you pull it the wrong way, they can cut into your skin. Instead, you should use a proper arrow puller. Before pulling, make sure no one is standing behind you because when you pull hard, the arrow can fly back and hit someone. Then place the puller tightly around the arrow, put your other hand on the target, and pull straight out in one clean motion. This is why you should not pull an arrow out of a target with your bare hands. The coach explained that the shaft of the arrow can have tiny, sharp splinters, and if you pull it the wrong way, they can cut into your skin. Instead, you should use a...
This guy hated the cold winter so much that he invented a crazy pair of shoes. Everyone thought he was joking when he said they have built-in heating, but he showed them the secret...
This girl wanted to give a watermelon to a hippo. As soon as her car stopped, she carefully aimed and threw the watermelon.
After this girl tried eating viral horse treats, no one expected her reaction at the end.
Someone needs to take my card away from me. So I bought 3 flavors to try, so let's try them out. Let's start with blue.
If you ever see a pool filled with black balls, avoid jumping in it. When someone jumps in, they completely disappear inside, and from above, it looks like there's no one there. This can be dangerous, as other people might jump in without realizing there's someone down below. Also, even though it looks full from the surface, there can be gaps underneath, which
This guy found a pufferfish stuck between 2 rocks, already puffed up and angry. He quickly pulled it free and put it down on a big rock nearby. Then he went to catch...
Everyone was baffled watching this girl wrestle, because no matter who she faced, the result was always the same. She'd trap her opponent with her thighs, lock it in tight, then casually smile and pose for the camera. The internet mocked her, saying she only...
His grandma is fighting cancer, and when her husband, who has Alzheimer's, came to see her, her reaction was beautiful. They've been married for over 60 years and hadn't seen each other in months.
In 5, 6, 7, 8, I am ready to take a nap. In 5, 6...
3 emergency items that can save students' lives during school shootings in America. First, this door barricade turns a classroom into a secure shelter. You slide it into a floor plate and it locks the door so tightly that it cannot be forced open, and the safety shade blocks the view from outside. Second, this classroom table flips into a bulletproof shield. When you pull the handle and...
While this boy was getting a haircut, he suddenly fell asleep, and that's when the barber took a tiny bit of hair from the boy's face, wrapped it in paper, and twisted a small wire around it. He slowly covered his whole face with those little wire twists. When the boy finally awoke, he was so...
When this American athlete launched a strong 77-meter throw, she thought she had become the world champion. However, as soon as she began celebrating, she saw a red flag go up, and the entire stadium was completely in shock. But despite the fact that she totally disagreed with the decision, as you can clearly...
This man is throwing these fishes in the drainage. But why? Actually, these fishes are being sent to the drains of Japan through this hole. And you must know how clean the water is. But the real reason...
Why does cracking your neck feel good, even though it can be dangerous? You see, most people think it's just harmless relief, and that popping sound is very satisfying. But what's really happening is much...
The way he holds this king cobra by its head. Not every snake rescuer can do that. Most rescuers always catch a king cobra from behind, so the risk of getting bitten becomes less. But look at this. This snake expert touches the cobra's body. The cobra stares at him, but there is no fear and no anger. Just a strange understanding. Like, I am not your enemy. He doesn't press the snake down. Instead, he helps lift it up. The cobra rises in its true royal form, standing tall with pride. In that moment, there was no fear, no victory, and no defeat.
This little guy might be the unluckiest person on earth, because when he bought a birthday cake, someone bumped into him and the cake fell to the ground. So he bought another one. Then some kids walked by and took a bite out of it. He didn't give up and bought a third cake, but at the counter, another shopper grabbed it by mistake. He bought another cake, and this time, the cashier flipped the box upside down to scan it and completely ruined it. So he bought one last cake and even wrote on the box, "Do not flip." But what happened?
This man was tired of people racing on the street in front of his house, so he came up with a genius solution to stop them. Using only spray paint, he created a 3D speed bump illusion on the road, and surprisingly, it worked. Now, every car that passes instantly hits the brakes. This man was tired of people racing on the street in front of his house, so he came up with a genius solution to stop them. Using only spray paint, he created a 3D speed bump illusion on the road, and surprisingly, it worked. Now, every car that passes instantly hits the brakes.
Why Apple Store workers won't care if you steal an iPhone in front of them? A lot of people think the security is there to physically stop you, but the truth is they'll do absolutely nothing, and that's because stealing an iPhone...
A guy notices a girl at the gym. He thinks, oh, she's a girl. She probably isn't lifting much weight, and starting to follow her. As soon as the girl finishes working out on a machine, this guy rushes over and, without checking the weight, starts exercising using her set. On the first 2 or 3 machines, the weight feels surprisingly light. The guy is happy inside. Wow, I'm a superhero. But then the girl sits down at the leg workout machine. The guy comes over again to act like a hero and tries to move the machine. The machine doesn't move at all. His smile disappears. His hands start shaking. And in his mind, there's only one thought. This weight is reminding me of my grandma. A guy notices a girl at the gym. He thinks, oh, she's a girl. She probably isn't lifting much weight, and starting to follow her.
Meet Jessica, the first ever full-time female assistant coach in the NHL, starting her career at Cornell. She went on to win multiple international medals with Team Canada. But she didn't stop.
Look, in the baking class, the teacher asked them to make a cake that looked like a cabbage, and the one who make the best cabbage-looking...
They've made a bed in China that's so comfy. Even Dubai's...
No one is buying Stanleys anymore because just 12 months ago, people were literally camping outside Target overnight for limited edition drops with customers physically fighting each other in aisles over them. But now TikTokers are posting footage of Stanley sections at their local stores completely untouched. The company panicked and slashed prices from $45 down to $30.
This machine is a game changer for construction workers. It helps support the weight of heavy tools, making overhead...
This old man finally found out why no one comes to this beach alone at night. Because when he noticed a strange hole in the sand, he started digging to see what was really underneath. But the deeper he went, the weirder it got. Then he felt something move. That's when he realized it was the animal everyone's scared of. So can you guess what animal this is?
When she just lowered her head a little, the artwork was ruined. But surprisingly, many clay artists are said to sometimes destroy their own clay pieces on purpose as a way to blow off stress. This is because when a shape that took a lot of care to make falls apart in a single moment, it creates a hard to...
When this girl went to wash her hands, she suddenly noticed another pair of hands on the other side of the mirror. The only problem, it wasn't a reflection. And you won't believe the reason why. The sink is actually a single unit that runs through the wall, connecting the men's and women's restrooms, which means you can end up...
This is Disney's clever way of checking for lice. So at Disneyland, they have a kids salon where you can pay to get your kid's hair done like a princess. Except the workers here are actually trained to follow a basic procedure. As they make small talk with the kid, they check up the hair to make sure there's no lice. And no lice means they can proceed.
This guy was sentenced to 138 months in prison, but for certain reasons, the sentence was reduced, with one strict condition. An ankle monitor had to be worn at all times.
Look at this catch, fresh.
This is how bicycle brakes evolved. In the beginning, the brake used to press directly against the tire, which caused both the tire and the brake to wear out quickly. Later, brakes were moved from the tire to the wheel rim, making them much stronger. And now, modern bicycle...
I'm on a mission to blend everything in the world. Today we're...
These two started a trick to fool the customer by pretending to clean fruits while throwing a 1,000 note in front of the shop. As soon as the customer noticed the note, he rushed over, pretending to tie his shoe while stepping on it. The shopkeeper then asked, "Brother, how many dozens of bananas should I pack?" Excited by the Rs 1000, the customer replied, "Pack all the bananas in the front pocket." pile, thinking, okay, I'll take bananas worth Rs 100.
This girl panics while trying to take off a green bodysuit that's stuck way too tight. The zipper is nowhere to be found. Her breathing speeds up, her hands start shaking. When she finally finds it, she looks at the camera, and this is what happens.
What the? This man came up with a business idea that brings in hundreds of customers.
This man was training his military pit bull, testing its loyalty and strength. At first, the dog calmly shakes hands with the boy, while a fake weapon is hidden behind the boy's back. The pit bull stays completely relaxed, but the moment the boy pretends to attack, the pit bull
In China, if you see a student carrying a small lunchbox like this, don't take it away from them. That's because when the mother prepares a big lunchbox at home, she also makes an extra small one. The small lunchbox is placed in the child's backpack. The mother does this so that if a classmate is hungry, any student can give them their own small lunchbox.
Suddenly, blood starts coming from the horse's mouth. The guard reacts immediately and calls for emergency help. Another guard and armed police arrive. Everyone gathers around, trying to understand what's wrong. The horse is clearly in pain.
If this guy hadn't recorded it, nobody would believe it. In Japan, people cut down massive trees from the top every year, but this one...
This is your new favorite rap. Let's make it.
When this girl turned 13, she got a really small present from her mom and dad, which made her a little sad. But as soon as she started pulling the wrapping paper, a string of $5 bills started coming out. She couldn't believe it. It just kept going. She was so mesmerized that she didn't... People online demanded this cyclist be disqualified after the race footage went viral. During the race, she appeared to knock multiple water bottles off the rack. Many viewers believed she was doing it on purpose to keep other riders from grabbing them. But once the event organizers reviewed the incident, they released footage from another angle. That clip showed the truth. She wasn't cheating at all. She was simply struggling to grab a bottle at full speed. People online demanded this cyclist be disqualified after the race footage went viral.
Why does Lamine Yamal When this girl signed up for the Army fitness test, she thought it looked surprisingly easy at first. All she had to do was grab onto the metal net and drag herself forward along the ground.
This is proof that...
This girl knew very well that as long as she was with her dad, nothing would happen to her. That's why she got into the balloon even before it was inflated. Then, when it was completely filled with air, her dad took out the hose and told his daughter that he was going to release the balloon into the water, so she had to try to keep her balance once inside. However, as soon as the balloon touched the water, the girl fell out, because keeping your balance inside a balloon is not a game for kids.
This innocent boy even made a calculator give up. Every day he told his mom that he could calculate faster than a calculator, and he actually proved it. However, his limitation was that he couldn't add numbers over 500. Meanwhile, the other girl, no matter how big the calculation is, may take a bit longer, but she can accurately solve sums in the thousands or even hundreds of thousands.
This teacher woke up one morning, stepped outside her bedroom, and immediately went back in. Her entire senior class was inside her house. When she came back out, she laughed and took the prank like a good sport.
Good morning, little bunny.
While searching for their younger sister, the elder brother and sister reached near a hotel. At first, they thought of calling her to ask where she was, but after
This guy wanted to see what would happen if he gathered all the negative magnets and pulled them close together. Because when you try to place them side by side,
This is the thing people in this job want to avoid.
Hold steady. I'm almost there. Easy, easy, buddy. You're okay.
After this runner clearly crossed the finish line first and won, the athlete in second place immediately raised his finger in frustration, signaling that something unfair had happened, and people accused the athlete of being a bad sport since he had clearly fallen behind in the final stretch. But after the officials released the footage of what happened just before the final turn, it became...
This little girl got hit by a tennis ball going...
Whenever this girl travels to different parts of the world, instead of collecting stones, she presses clay onto carvings to capture their patterns, and then she puts ink on it to stamp the clay design into her book without damaging the nature and creating memories she'll remember.
People are saying Central C should retire from rapping after this clip went viral, because the moment he showed up at a calisthenics park, he casually jumped onto the pull-up bar and started knocking out muscle.
This man is a true genius, because when he decided to build a house in order to save money, he didn't buy blocks for building walls in a store, but bought a special mold for making such concrete bricks with his own hands for $10. This is how magnetic boots keep workers incredibly safe on rooftops. With powerful magnets built into the soles, the boots stick firmly to metal surfaces, so workers can move around without worrying about slips or falls, even on steep slopes. This is how magnetic boots keep workers. After he asked for their most unique dessert, they put a beekeeper net over his head and brought out a sealed honeycomb box. Everyone's confused, thinking real bees are about to fly out, as the waiter opens it slowly. That's when you realize it's just cake. But now, how is he even supposed to eat this? After he asked for their most unique dessert, they put a...
The zookeeper had to leave for a few days because his mother was sick, so he used a special trick to disappear in front of the otter. But the otter became very sad, thinking the keeper had really disappeared. Every day the otter cried, believing the man would never return. His other otter friends tried to comfort him, but he still refused to eat anything. This was because the keeper had rescued him from the wild and raised him. To the otter, the keeper was like his real mother. One day, while the...
This girl just wanted a hot chocolate, but the place had run out of cups. So instead of waiting, they came up with what seemed like a clever idea. They started pouring...
This teacher told his students who got less than 11 points not to say sir.
This strange seaweed is famous along Alaska's coast for a reason. It's called bull kelp, and it can grow up to 7 inches in a single day. When this mother went to the doctor because her baby was moving way more than usual, they found something shocking.
Before every race, Max Verstappen trains his body first. Then he sharpens his reflex. Because in racing, reflex decides...
This is why reaching 1 million kilometers is considered illegal. When this man decided to test if it was even possible, he happened to find a motorcycle that was close to 1 million kilometers and rode it through the countryside to make history. But when the odometer reached its limit, it just rolled back to zero and started again. Because of...
This grandpa really wanted to go on vacation. But instead of leaving the house, his grandkids turned the living room into an airport. First, one of them became airport security, checking his suitcase just like the real thing. Then grandpa boarded the plane and was welcomed by another grandchild acting as the flight attendant. This grandpa really wanted to go on vacation, but instead of leaving the house, his grandkids turned the living room into an airport. First, one of them became airport security, checking his suitcase just like the real thing. Then grandpa boarded the plane and was welcomed by another grandchild acting as the flight attendant. When he arrived at the hotel, grandpa relaxed and enjoyed the view, even though it was just a painting, and the ocean breeze was actually coming from a hairdryer. He even picked up seashells on the carpet like he was on a real beach. This grandpa really wanted to go on vacation, but instead of leaving the house, his grandkids turned the living room into an airport. First, one of them became airport security, checking his suitcase just like the real thing. Then grandpa boarded the plane.
This is the hardest game at the Arca Arcade. You have to push the bowling ball past the first bump without letting it roll back. However, you also must not touch the button at the top of the second slope. Even if the ball lands exactly in the target area, you still have to win twice to get the stuffed toy prize. This is the hardest game at the Arca Arcade. You have to push the bowling ball past the first bump.
This girl from a wealthy family wanted a very tall husband, so she hung a ruler on the door to measure the height of every boy who came in. The first one was 1.90 meters tall, which impressed her a little. Then another arrived, but his height didn't convince her. Finally, one appeared who, besides being tall, looked like a real heartthrob and measured no less than 2 meters. However, she didn't get a single like. This girl from a wealthy family wanted a very tall husband, so she hung a ruler on the door to measure the height of every boy who came in. The first one was 1.90 meters tall, which impressed her a little. Then another arrived, but his height didn't convince her. Finally, one appeared who...
When this car fell into a roadside pit, another car tied a rope to pull it out. But when it was pulled up at high speed, the car flew and fell into the pit on the other side. It looked like the car didn't want to stay on the road at all. When this car fell into a roadside pit,
This restaurant has a famous dessert where after they bring out your cake, they bring out a warm cup of chocolate and pour it over the entire dessert. Then they shave chocolate on top until it slowly builds up to the ultimate reveal, because when they remove the metal casing, the whole dessert gets covered. And it's a reference to the movie.
That's why the company owner can't fire this guy, even if he wants to. He makes a complete bucket in just 5 seconds. The moment it comes out of the machine, he quickly cuts off the extra part and starts trimming it. The hardest part is the handle hole. If it's even a little off, the handle won't fit properly. But his hands are so well trained that he gets it perfect in one try. Places the handle right in the center and the bucket is ready. That's why the company owner can't fire this guy, even if he wants to. He makes a complete bucket in just 5 seconds. The moment it comes out of the machine, he quickly cuts off the extra part and starts trimming it. The hardest part is the handle hole. If it's even a little off, the handle won't fit properly. But his hands are so well trained that he gets it perfect in one.
This girl was sitting in her class when something happened that she didn't expect. Because she has
has a big sister who is an army soldier, and she hasn't seen her for over a year. So on a normal day, the girl would...
This guy had no idea the stone would change his life. At first, he just thought he'd cut it into a bowl to use for eating. But after hours of cutting and the saw blade breaking over and over again, he started to realize it wasn't an ordinary stone. Still, he didn't give up. Since it was the first time he'd ever seen a stone this hard, he kept polishing it until it became shiny like glass. This guy had no idea the stone would change his life. At first, he just thought he'd cut it into a bowl to use for eating. But after hours of cutting and
This is why people have stopped setting up stalls for this honey cake. When these two guys came to buy it, they first said they wanted to eat it right there. But when they realized it was better to take it home, they asked for it to be packaged. The seller, although unwilling, had to coat it in honey again and again, because if he didn't, it would spoil before they got home. That's why, for the seller, it ends up being an unprofitable business. This is why people have stopped setting up stalls for this honey cake. When these two guys came to buy it, they first said they wanted to eat it right there. But when they realized it was better to take it home,
You might be surprised, but most pools can be cleaned without draining all the water. A pool that sits unused, this handball player secretly pulls out sticky glue and starts rubbing it on his hands and the ball so it stays gripped while playing. But when he tries to throw it, the ball flies way off to the side because it's too sticky. That's when he quickly wipes the glue off his hands and the ball. Then he throws again, and this time it's successful.
Before you buy jeans, stretch them out like this if they make a straight line.
I think he didn't follow the instructions.
This teacher got tired with students bringing their phones to class, so she pulled out this box with tiny compartments and told her students to put their phones or else she would call their parents. Within minutes, the box was completely full. But then, something unexpected happened. But first, who is your protector? If it's Jesus, like and subscribe immediately. And if the darkness is your protector, just ignore. Share this video so people know who protects you, and leave a heart emoji for him. One student thought he was smart and dropped only his phone case in the box.
Drawing a circle on flat paper is easy, but what about on a round pipe? There's a special tool for that. It's aligned with... So kids, drawing a circle on flat paper is easy.
So kids are still sticking gum wrappers all over school walls, and teachers have no idea what to do. This trend has been going on for months, but this one kid named Evan is now on day 65 of building a gum wrapper wall. Most teachers are completely against this trend, but Evan's teacher is straight up influencing it. This teacher literally has a rule: if you eat gum in his class, you must give him the wrapper so he can continue adding to the wall. And if you plan on doing this, the best way to separate the aluminum...
These number blocks look normal at first.
This tube in her throat is actually keeping her alive. It's called a tracheostomy tube, and it's used when someone...
Stop reclining your chair! It's ridiculous! Are you serious? This is crazy! Are you serious?
The barber realized at that very moment that he had made a very big mistake when he lifted the boy's hair. While cutting the hair, he accidentally dyed the boy's eyebrows as well. The boy noticed it immediately. The barber said, "Wait for 2 minutes, I'll fix it right away."
3 things that make sense in Japan, but not in other countries. First, Japan sells pets in a can. They're known as mossballs.
A girl walked into a cafe carrying a bucket and asked for bubble tea. 1 full bucket.
That's why this man's job is actually the easiest, because when he needs to stop the ship, he takes...
Did you know having a brain...
A tire came off a moving truck and started rolling down the road, so I began recording from inside my car. Even though I started filming a bit late, the tire just wouldn't stop. It didn't get stuck on the side either. Every time it hit the side,
I'm building a chainless bike, so obviously there's one big problem. The 2 gears aren't even close to touching. That means it's time to make the middle gears. After some testing...
You can actually make something like this using Vaseline. Just place a jar of Vaseline in boiling water for 2 minutes so it melts. Then take it out and spray your favorite perfume into it. After mixing it really well, pour the mixture...
What happens when you walk barefoot daily? Week 1. Your feet feel sensitive. Small muscles wake up, and the ground suddenly feels very real. Week 2. Foot strength improves. Arch control gets better, and your steps feel more stable. Week 3. Natural movement returns. Balance...
This little boy and his mother were leaving Ukraine to be safe because of the war, but his father...
This little boy had a huge crush on the girl sitting behind him, and during a baseball game, he did something that shocked the whole stadium. When a player gifted him a game ball,
Why do these people take out salmon fish eggs but don't eat them? Actually, first the female salmon is caught and all the eggs are removed from her belly. Then the male salmon is gently pressed by hand to extract its sperm, which is used to fertilize these eggs. These fertilized eggs are kept under very careful conditions for months until baby fish hatch from them. After that, they are raised and grown. Then comes the most difficult part.
These little children thought they could make the best design out of cotton candy, but what they didn't know was that their father, standing at the back, has been doing this longer than they could imagine. So one by one, they all stepped forward and tried their best to make the most beautiful designs, but none of them was compared to what their dad is about to make. Because after the last child gave it a shot and tried—
Look, this girl knew that if she wore this costume, she would look like a real lion and no one would recognize her. She got so scared that her hands started shaking. Then her friends put on their costumes and told her to wear hers too. Her hands were still shaking, but she took a deep breath and put the lion head on. And when she did, even her head started shaking. But that made everyone laugh because if she didn't act like that, no one will watch her. Let's give her a like. Look, this girl knew that if she—
These guys were on a road trip and were told to pull over by an oncoming police officer.
Have a look at the size of this thing.
Because in the Australian outback, it's common to pull over for oncoming trucks, but these aren't normal trucks, they're road trains that can stretch longer than a football field. And once they start rolling past, you realize why they need—
This is a natural method of purifying.
This boy thought of himself as a big hero, believing he had become so skilled at cutting potatoes that he could turn them into rubber. First, he takes out a small piece of the potato, then starts cutting it very carefully. People think he has completely cut it, but surprisingly, a thin part on the side is still left uncut. But this boy thought of himself as a big hero.
The owner asked the crazy handyman, "Where's the ceiling fan?" Just then, the handyman spun the room's door and said, "Here you go, sir. I've installed the fan on your door."
Never trust online shop in China, because this woman in China was
Here's why car keys got so unnecessarily complicated. So back in the day, it was just a metal key. Simple, worked forever. But then, someone decided we needed remote
This is how handball players normally keep their balls sticky, by using a special resin and applying it around their ball. But when this guy found himself alone after practice, he grabbed his coach's resin and decided to do the wildest thing with it, since he completely covered the ball. And no one expected how—
This Doberman refused to let his owner open—
When this little Chinese child was standing on a sofa practicing kung fu,
Look, this retired FBI agent just revealed secret hiding spots that are nearly—
When this couple arrives at the hotel, they quickly check behind their backs before entering. Not only that, but after turning the lights on, they secure the door with a—
Look, that's why people say you shouldn't act like a Sigma, because when one girl feels that the metal rod is hot, the other girl touches it too and feels it's very hot, but then a professional chef comes in and picks up the rod like it's completely cold. He even takes out the meat from the rod on a tortilla, but in reality, the chef burns his hands—
This girl just made a huge mistake by ordering this super weird pimple patch, because at first everything looked fine, but when she finally decided to peel it off, this happened, and the only way to help her is to leave a like. This girl just made a huge mistake by ordering this super weird pimple patch, because of—
This guy put chicken leg pieces into this pot to cook them in just 10 seconds, because he thought if this pot can cook popcorn, then why not chicken? So he packed it tightly, placed it on the gas stove, lit the flame, and started rotating it fast. After that—
This man secretly taught his wife how to catch fish, hiding it from the whole village because he knew about a secret pond. He made her put bait—
Can you actually pull a sword from your back like in video games? Short answer, no, or at least not the way you imagine. If the blade is longer than your arm, you'll probably just make your opponent laugh before you ever draw it. With big swords, you can cheat it a bit, like using little tricks. But in a real fight, a sword on your back is risky because you lose time before you can even get it out. Can you actually pull a sword from your back like in video games? Short answer, no, or at least not the way you imagine. If the blade is longer than your arm, you'll probably just make your opponent laugh before you ever draw.
This is how you can tell fake cheese on pizza. This type of fake cheese is usually made from palm oil instead of cow's milk, then mixed with real cheese, which makes it very hard to distinguish. However, you can identify it this way. Lift the slice of pizza vertically. If it's real cheese, it will melt and stretch downward. But if it's mixed with fake cheese, it will keep its shape and won't melt.
This woman has a fun way of celebrating Christmas parties. She appeared to wrap a piece of money, but the gift turned out to be more than just cash. The tradition of wrapping presents is meant so that during the party, everyone opens their gifts one by one, making the atmosphere—
This is how bicycle brakes changed over time. In the 1940s, bike brakes were very simple.
This guy created street art so impressive that even artists said, "Wow." At first, no one understood what he was drawing on half of the canvas. But as his hands kept moving, it slowly became clear. He was creating camouflage art.
This tool is used to remove seeds from raw cotton. It works by rotating two cylinders.
You could shove a tampon in the hole and plump.
This woman checked into a hotel for the first time in her life. She hung a note on the door saying there was a dangerous dog in.
This toddler was already super
Many people thought this man was cheating. In a bike balance competition, the participant who can stay balanced the longest wins. When the
What would really happen if you had lice in your head? You think it's just an itchy problem, right? Wrong. It's much worse than you.
This guy made a huge mistake stepping into a strange ice castle in Norway. At first, it looks really cool, but when he looked closer, he realized something was seriously off. Every figure inside was frozen solid, and that's when he realized they were characters from Frozen, like they'd been trapped for a long, long time. Every single character looks defeated, but when he checked Elsa one more time, something shocking happened. I'll show you. But first, who is your protector? If it's Jesus, like and subscribe immediately. And if the darkness is your protector...
This gym machine might look like it was installed by mistake. A new girl saw it for the first time and had no idea how to use it.
If you get lost in the forest and don't have any wood to burn, Doritos will save your life. Just find any random Doritos flavor floating in a lake. I recommend cheese, open the bag, and burn it. Doritos will catch fire easily because they contain oil, so you don't have to bother by working hard to find firewood in the forest to cook. Plus, the cheesy smell will probably attract some wildlife, so you might get some unexpected...
Only boys will understand. No.
After he orders one dessert, the restaurant waiters pull a surprising performance. Instead of the food to be delivered.
This dolphin jumped out of the water to receive a massage from his human friend, but when the man...
This man finally found out why his son kept going to the beach alone at night with a shovel.
This man made millions by destroying brand new sneakers. You see, while everyone else sold boring sneakers, he used his creativity.
This small cake can actually feed a family of 10. Although it looks tiny, there's a huge secret held behind the metal that's holding the cake together. And just wait to see what...
Why do cliff jumpers always throw stones before jumping into the water? You might...
This shopkeeper's way of selling slippers is truly unique. As soon as customers come to his shop, he pours water on the counter and places his slipper on it, making customers think there must be something special about these slippers. When a boy tries to...
Nobody expected what the truck driver did next. When this elderly woman was about to cross toward her car, but the path was flooded with water.
When this girl put her hand into a strange liquid, she pulled it out completely dry. But since she could not believe it, she tried putting her whole body in. And surprise!
Chipotle once made a free burritos to everyone day because in 2017, news spread that customer had gotten sick from eating there, and this obviously caused a big crisis for the brand. Their sales dropped dramatically.
If you ever travel to a snowy area, never make this mistake. People from warm climates...
Today, the boy with the blue ball was winning, but then he made a mistake and his turn ended. Next, it was the other player's turn, but he got out immediately.
This girl's kids were acting up in school, so to punish them, she decided to make disgusting cockroach cookies. But that's not the worst of it, because she'll make
This is eiderdown, the rarest and most expensive natural fiber on Earth. One duvet can cost over $8,000.
Finally, this inventor created a bicycle that people are going crazy to...
This kid almost got kicked out of the swing ride because of what he did. When his girlfriend's purse got... After watching this, you might never buy gold again. See this? It looks like pure gold, but it's actually Bangladesh red gold, a cheap ore that mimics the real thing perfectly. It crushes...
This man completely broke down the moment he looked at the wall. When he walked into his son's room, something unexpected instantly caught his attention. At first, he smiled in disbelief, not knowing how to react. But as he realized what he was seeing, it became too painful. He was looking at a painting of his son who had just passed away after a... This guy decided to do something that was clearly a bad idea. He tried to hit a giant wasp nest using nothing but a rock. His first throw missed, but instead of stopping, he came back wearing a construction helmet. Feeling safer, he went in for a second attempt. This guy decided to do something that was clearly a bad idea. He tried to hit a giant wasp. This guy decided to do something that was clearly a bad idea. He tried to hit a giant wasp nest using nothing but a rock. His first throw missed, but instead of stopping, he came back wearing a construction helmet. Feeling safer, he went in for a second attempt. And This girl saw something strange moving in the water, so she asked her two friends to lift her up to grab it. But then this happened. It ended up being a snapping turtle that will now bite those who do not like and subscribe. Have you ever wondered why cops love
This girl wanted to feed a watermelon.
Everyone around him kept shouting the same thing over and over. Stay away from that swing, it's not safe. He ignored every warning. Step by step, he walked closer, climbed right on top of it, and then shocked everyone. He tied a black blindfold over his eyes. He couldn't see a thing. Standing on the swing, he started doing tricks with small sticks. Seconds later, he moved on to balancing on a rope, shifting his body like a professional.
In Thailand, betta fish are commonly raised in small bottles and jars, lined up neatly in large breeding farms. This setup isn't random. It allows breeders to monitor each fish individually.
This is how fast the time goes because this couple were married in 1965. They grew up into a family of 8 kids. Those kids fell in love and added 7 more people to the family. Over the years, the family kept growing, and they added 34 more, including 3 great-grandbabies. From one couple to generations of love.
When this guy was going down the stairs, he ended up stepping on his friend's hand. Not only that, but as he tried to mix the sand, he spilled water everywhere. So seeing this, his friend angrily threw dirt in his face. And to make matters worse, when they went to get more water, his friend...
In China, people earn crores of rupees every year by selling stones, and they make a lot of profit from them. First, the stones are collected from the sea and washed with water so they can be easily cut with blades. After cutting, these stones are carved into different designs, which later turn into beautiful utensils used in homes. In China, people earn crores of rupees every year.
The police van braked violently, sending him headfirst into the metal partition. But with his hands cuffed behind his back, his head took the full impact, fracturing his neck and
Only this man knows how to steal in such a way. He walked into a jewelry store wearing a mask and started acting like he was cleaning the place with trash bags. Everyone thought he was just messing around and didn't take him seriously.
This is how a coin can save your stomach. There is a belief that if you place a metal coin on top of a glass of ice, it can actually help you. The interesting part is that it has nothing to do with money. It turns out this is a simple trick you can use when you leave your house for a long time. If you come back and the coin is at the bottom of the glass, then it is better not to eat the food. This is how a coin can save your stomach. There is a belief that if you place a metal coin on top of a glass of ice, it can actually help you. The interesting part is that it has nothing to do with money. It turns out this is a simple trick you can use when you leave your house for a long time. If you come back and the coin is at the bottom of the glass, then it is better not.
This man gave his hippopotamus a small grape and started laughing. He thought the grape was so small that the hippopotamus wouldn't even notice it, but the hippopotamus swallowed it and opened its mouth, waiting for more food. The next day, the man brought only a small berry and put it back in its mouth. The hippopotamus felt bad because the man was teasing it. Oh,
this guy made a huge mistake by jumping into this green water because at first he thought the only challenge was the freezing cold water he had to push through. But when he moved a little further, things took an unexpected
Look at this mother's strength. Her husband died in the very truck she is driving today. What's even more surprising is that wherever she goes, she takes both of her sons with her. The elder son works as a helper, supports his mother, and obeys her in everything. After losing her husband, this woman neither stole nor begged. She chose hard work, took full responsibility for her children, and performs her job with complete dedication. All she asks in return is...
Who knew desert sand could hide valuable metal? Why would a 140-year-old man boldly claim this is the secret to his long life? It sounds impossible. Yet in a small village in China, tourists say they found the oldest man in the world, now reportedly 140 years old. He lives with his wife, who has just celebrated her 100th birthday. Amazingly, she still walks around actively, gardens, and even rides a motor.
This is one of China's most famous soups, and it's all about balance. It's called Tai Chi soup.
This man has officially won at retirement. He sits by the beach with a giant bag of treats, just waiting to spoil every dog that walks by. Watch how his face lights up when they stop. He even has a drive-through service for pups and cars. It's the simplest act of kindness, but honestly, this is the kind of peace we all deserve. This man has officially won at retirement. He sits by the beach with a giant bag of treats, just waiting to...
This guy found a small cave hidden in the snow, so he decided to go inside to see what was there. The passage was so narrow that only his body could...
German soldiers often refuse to light 3 cigarettes with one match. They believe the first light...
If you jump from a 50-story building, you might think firing a shotgun at the last moment could...
This woman just made a massive mistake by ordering this really weird teeth-whitening gadget.
When I was a kid, this girl that sat next to me randomly asked if I wanted to come over to her house after school. We weren't really that close.
Why are you thumbing your nose?
You see that pole over there?
This is a Korean soap, but it doesn't feel like soap at all. In most countries, public restrooms usually...
Ronaldo was ruined because of Messi. Imagine this. One day during a match, Messi suffers a very serious injury and his leg gets broken.
A soldier hid inside an AI robot.
This girl loves eating apples, but her husband likes watermelons more. So she came up with a fun...
The girl could no longer hold back.
This is one reason people in Japan live so long. Instead of deep frying meat, they place it in a pan and pour.
If you ever see this type of grass in the hilly areas, never make the mistake of ignoring it, because this is something that can earn you millions. As soon as this boy saw it, he held it tight and uprooted it. Then he washed all the soil that remained stuck to it and collected it in the basket. Now after filtering it with water for a long time, it was seen that there were many small pieces of gold inside it. If you ever see this type of grass in the
Even with jets roaring overhead, these guys stay silent.
On her first day of school, the little girl cried and refused to leave her mother. After her mother comforted her for a while, she reluctantly held back her pain.
Dwell on the problem. Well, this man just found snow he has saved for nearly 5 decades, and you won't believe what was left in there. You see, back then, he stored some snow.
This girl brought her child in front of a horse, but she did not know that the child would start enjoying the horse. Then, when the child grew a little and learned to walk, she began to like the horse so...
As this small wooden boat pulls up next to a massive cruise ship, it looks like a scene straight out of a pirate movie. But instead of boarding the ship, these men do something far smarter. They tie their boat alongside and...
This job in Dubai is so dangerous that only one person in the entire world does it, because there's a real risk of losing one's life. Imagine dipping a bottle into melted plastic that's hotter than 100 degrees Celsius. The first time, he pulls the bottle out absolutely perfectly, but the second time... Why do people destroy these pink eggs the moment they see them? Some people think crushing them harms nature, but it's actually the complete...
If I was your neighbor, these would be my rules. Rule number 1, my Wi-Fi has no password. You can connect to it from your room if your internet is acting slow.
Look, if your mom's mad at you, just make her this and she'll forgive you for sure. All you need is a big chunk of chocolate and plenty of popcorn kernels. But
this kid wanted to prank his teacher by putting ketchup packets under the toilet seat so that when his teacher uses the bathroom, the ketchup packets will explode. Unfortunately, the student got suspended.
Life is beautiful when God is the painter. Let him color your life for his glory.
This guy suspected that this mall never cleans their escalators, but nobody...
When this girl got pulled over, officer asked for the reason of speeding, but the girl said something that...
This guy applied such a smart hack in his bathroom that people started saying, wow. Actually, his shower area had transparent glass doors.
Which mini bikes you would ride going to school?
You don't have to explain your happiness.
An assassin is knocking at my door and I'm scared, so I climbed out the window to try and find something to defend myself with. Luckily, there was an assassin outside my door with an Egyptian kopek. He gave it to...
This grandpa just officially won Christmas.
The boy's performance astonished his...
This roller coaster won't move unless she does. Instead of a motor, this ride uses pure human power. This woman has to pedal non-stop just to push the cart uphill. The kids are cheering, but if she slows down, the ride stops. Once it hits the top, gravity takes over, and that single climb powers the entire roller coaster. This roller coaster won't move unless she does. Instead of a motor, this ride uses pure human power. This woman has to pedal non-stop just to push the cart uphill. The kids are cheering, but if she slows down, the ride stops. Once it hits the top, gravity...
What would happen if a whale swallowed you alive? If it's a humpback whale...
This is exactly why you should never rely on your boss's judgment, because even though this cook knew precisely how the dish was supposed to taste, he had absolutely no power. Because in this kitchen, the boss's taste buds ruled everything. So when the boss tried the dish, he demanded more salt, but the cook refused to listen. Instead, he just gave the pot a slow stir, acting as if he'd already added it. This is why you should never trust an artist. What looks like heavy medieval chainmail is actually made from fragile clay. Ruth Borgenecht creates these sculptures by casting hundreds of ceramic rings, carefully cut.
This street vendor started a fun challenge, but nobody could beat it. He told the crowd that if they can pick up a slice of this jiggly cake without breaking it, they get it for free. Everyone thought it would be...
This little dad was super angry at his kids because they kept going to the beach every single week.
This is how Donkey Hooves invented...
Do you know what the smallest food in Disneyland is? Because you and most people might think it's the mini churros, or maybe you're thinking about those tiny Mickey Mouse cakes.
If you see flight attendants spraying white gas over passengers, don't hold your breath. They aren't poisoning you. This is called disinsection. and is mandatory in some countries. On flights from Africa or South America, malaria-carrying mosquitoes can sneak into the cabin.
This guy found out that anyone who manages to cross this water slide will receive a prize of
This craftsman was tired of people throwing away their tables when they got slightly damaged, so he decided to show how.
This boy goes to feed the fish with his parents, but every time they go, his mother only allows him to throw in 1 spoon of food, and that isn't enough.
At first, it looks like he's just playing around with a tree, but watch what happens next. He's actually spotting a deadly open manhole hidden by the flood. By planting that branch,
This family celebrates birthdays in a truly genius way. The mother waits until there are just 10 seconds left before midnight to blow out her candles. Right after that, her child places a number 1 candle onto their own cake. As the clock hits a brand new day.
If you ever see brown water like this, don't make the mistake of ignoring it because this thing can make you...
What happens if you... This man wanted to play a joke on his hippo. He cut a pumpkin in a special way so that it would get stuck in the hippo's teeth. When the hippo tried to eat the pumpkin, it couldn't bite it properly and started getting angry. Next day, he put pumpkin pieces on both of the hippo's teeth. But what happened? This man wanted to play a joke on his hippo. He cut a pumpkin in a special way so that it would get stuck in the hippo's teeth.
This guy thought that if he went to the barber wearing his fake hair, the owner wouldn't even notice. But the moment the barber started washing his hair,
This firefighter is a true hero because when people heard desperate crying coming from this puddle, they rushed to investigate, knowing something was trapped. And without hesitation, he slowly climbed down into the tight space where...
This guy returned to his house after 15 years, and as soon as he took a step inside, he suddenly felt like the ground was collapsing beneath his feet. Terrified, he quickly...
A new employee accidentally broke the juice machine and strawberry juice started...
This is how a traditional cooking stove works in many Chinese homes. Wood is burned inside the stove, and fresh logs are added as needed. The ash drops down into a compartment below, keeping the fire area clean. On top, removable plates let you adjust the opening for different... When this guy asked his sister for the car keys, something really unexpected happened. Take a look.
Have you ever wondered why donuts have a hole in the middle? It's like, isn't that a waste of...
This guy made a huge mistake during his girlfriend's birthday. While they were celebrating, his hair accidentally caught on fire. The crazy part is that neither of them noticed it because they couldn't see the... When this boy wants to join the basketball team, he trains in the strangest way ever, because when he tries to learn how to dribble with his back, he first practices with the farm machine, which actually doesn't move at all. Then he tries it on trash bins, but once again, nothing happens. So when he tries it against a hard wall, he realizes that basketball really isn't for him, and that instead, he should apply for a job at a demolition company.
After this girl bought her favorite chocolate, she felt sad when she realized she had already eaten half.
look, mom and dad had to manage the child with one hand while making...
If a sniper tried to shoot someone on Earth from the surface of the moon, it wouldn't go anything like you imagine. Or
look, this girl knew that if she wore this costume, she would look like a real lion and no one would recognize her. She got so scared that her hands started shaking. Then her friends put on their costume.
This is Pam, and people literally call him the Eco-Tarzan, because even though he's constantly chopping down these beautiful...
At first glance, you might think this is a gym machine, but it's not a gym machine at all. It's a special safety platform.
A firefighter team must jump from a moving vehicle. One member sets the pipe on the pump, and another member controls the fast-coming water from the other side. If the team completes this, they pass the training. However, in all the teams, the member who had to fix the pipe was falling while jumping from the vehicle. But in the team wearing yellow shirts, the first member successfully sets...
When this owner bought a jackfruit, his cats...
This transparent egg costs more than gold per ounce. Farmer, this device is supposed to make dumplings and ravioli, but a lot of people get frustrated after...
This ice cream seller tried to fool a young kid. The boy came to buy a big ice cream cone, but the seller had a hidden trick. The green flavor was priced higher than the rest. To save money, he filled the cone with all the colors except green and acted like everything was fine. But the kid quickly realized something wasn't right. He refused to take the ice...
This boy was playing around when things went wrong. He accidentally broke the TV and completely froze in shock. He just stood there like a statue, already imagining how badly he was going to get scolded. He even tried to fix it by turning the TV off. This boy was playing around when things went wrong. He accidentally broke the TV and completely froze in shock. He just stood there like a statue, already imagining how badly he was going. Two buddies wanted to sneak past the bar's strict dress code. The rule was simple. You could only enter if you had the bar's special t-shirt. Problem was, they only had one shirt between them. Two buddies wanted to sneak past the bar's strict dress code. The rule was simple. You could only enter if you had the bar's special t-shirt. Problem was, they only had one shirt between them. So, they came up with a clever trick. They cut the shirt in two and wore the pieces under their jackets, flashing it at the door from opposite sides.
This is what happens the day after buying a supercar. When this millionaire was driving to a car meet in his new Porsche 911, a woman suddenly stepped out and blocked his way. She was angry at expensive cars, since she had done the same thing to a Lamborghini before, but it just went around her. But the Porsche driver chose a genius strategy. He simply sat there and waited. This is what happens the day after buying a...
In Japan, jelly water is available where the water inside the bottle has a jelly-like texture, but tastes just like normal water.
Walt Disney took a bite of the hot dog, counted his steps, then...
Did you know Japan has something called Toyoko Kids? These are teenage...
When this branch gets smacked, it shoots out a perfect white cylinder, which people found a clever way to use.
It was a strange town where every single person was overweight. No one was thin. Even all the pets there were heavy. The reason was simple. Everyone ate junk food every single day. This habit had been passed down for generations. But one boy was different. He was tired of living...
When this boy wants to join the basketball team, he trains in the strangest way ever. Because when he tries to learn how to dribble with his bat, he first practices with a farm machine, which actually doesn't move at all. Then he tries it on trash bins, but once again, nothing happens. So when he tries it against a hard wall, he realizes that basketball really isn't for him, and that instead,
if you paint a chicken wire cage black, the mesh becomes almost invisible from a distance. This makes it much easier to observe the chickens inside. The reason is that black surfaces absorb light and reflect less, creating lower contrast, so the wire doesn't catch the eye. If you paint a chicken wire cage black, the mesh becomes almost invisible from a distance. This makes it much easier to observe the chickens inside. The reason is that black surfaces absorb light and reflect less, creating lower contrast, so the wire doesn't catch the eye. If you paint a chicken wire cage black, the This man is trimming the trunk of a palm tree. Palm trees aren't trimmed just for appearance. The trunk is cleaned to remove dry leaf bases that attract insects and disease. This helps keep the tree healthy, safe, and easier to maintain. This man is trimming the trunk of a palm tree. Palm trees aren't trimmed just for appearance. The trunk is cleaned to remove dry leaf bases that attract insects and disease. This helps keep the tree healthy, safe, and easier to maintain. This man is trimming the trunk of a palm tree. This man is trimming the trunk of a palm tree. Palm trees aren't trimmed just for appearance. The trunk is cleaned to remove dry leaf bases that attract insects.
This unique phenomenon from Pakistan shows someone washing a large amount of cash using a regular home washing machine. It's not a prank or an experiment, but a practice believed to make the money clean, fresh-smelling, and look brand new again. Dirty, worn banknotes are put into the washer.
When this little girl tried a famous trick to make her lips look bigger, she wasn't sure it would work. She grabbed a cup and started sucking on it, but it got stuck and was hard to pull off. When she finally did, the results were shocking. When this little girl...
This child had put a lot of effort into building something by the seashore. He truly believed his idea would work. He made a clear path, thinking that when the wave arrived, the water would enter only through that route and slowly fill everything. But things didn't go the way he imagined. Instead of coming from the planned side, the water suddenly rushed in from the opposite direction. The moment he noticed, he ran to stop it. But by then, Turkey Slurpee.
If If you paint a white wire fence black, something surprising happens. It almost seems to disappear and the view behind it becomes much clearer. But why does a simple color change make such a difference? White or metallic surfaces reflect light strongly, creating bright grit. This is the shocking reason why pigs are actually happy when they get dirty. Pigs have very few sweat glands, so their bodies overheat easily, which is why they use mud to cool themselves down. Mud works as a natural cooler that is more effective than water and also protects their skin from the sun. On top of that, mud helps repel insects and reduce parasites on the skin. So if you do not take a mud bath, then hit like. This is the shocking reason why pigs are actually happy when they get dirty. Pigs have very few sweat glands, so their bodies overheat easily, which is why they use mud to cool themselves down.
Check out my tattoo of my girlfriend. Whoa, all right, ready? Wait, what?
This woman just got banned from this restaurant after she exposed their dirty secret on the internet. Because when she ordered a $200 large vanilla ice cream, she noticed something very strange. The giant cup was feeling very light, almost like it was hollow from the inside. So when
You on a shark boat?
No.
In ancient times, when cameras didn't exist, taking a photo was a long and careful process. First, a small amount of oil.
When this girl had a surgery, doctors gave her a device that looks like a toy, but she has to blow air into it and make all 3 balls rock.
This guy did something out of boredom at the beach and accidentally started making money. Everyone thought he was just building a sandcastle, but he had a much better idea. He built a small mini golf course and started playing with all his friends. Then things quickly escalated. People started offering him money, asking if they could play too. This guy did something out of boredom at the beach and accidentally started making money. Everyone thought he was just building a sandcastle, but he had a much better idea. He built a...
This guy damaged his parents' car and tried to cover it up by using a red marker to blend in the scratch.
This guy was just goofing around, play fighting with his dog, when the pup suddenly...
Her cousin is very tall, about 6'3". He decided to go trick-or-treating, but by mistake he bought a costume made for small kids. Now wait...
What would happen if the ring finger didn't exist? The truth's that it's missed, even being the least important finger. Even because the ring finger works very well together with the other fingers.
This is why nurses deserve the same respect and pay as doctors. Even after this fighter got knocked down, he insisted he was fine and wanted to keep going. But
this drunk guy came up with a brilliant way to turn trash into money. He fitted all the wine...
If you open this Tessicila's door while it's raining, you have one big problem. You might think the car will be absolutely destroyed, or the doors won't open until the rain stops. But nope, Tessicila does something insane. So these weird armpit-like doors are actually useful, but it has this one fault. Here's what it means. Despite the doors acting like in womb Prilla, they will only block straight rain. If you open this Tessicila's door while it's raining, you have...
This man isn't climbing the mountain for fun. He is saving it from collapsing. This is called rockfall protection. When a slope weakens, cracks form in the rocks. Rainwater...
Here's one of the simplest tricks for sorting big and small fruits. Place 2 sticks side by side, close together at one end, farther apart at the other. Put the fruit on top, and it slides perfectly into the boxes below. Here's one of the simplest tricks for sorting big and small.
This dad woke up earlier than her family at snow day, so he write good morning in the snow. So his
Plowing fields usually means using a tractor or animals, but these farmers took a totally different approach. Some even use a tank to pull a plow across their land. Others have modified cars to work as plowing machines. It proves that even the most unexpected objects can become powerful plowing machines. This unlimited creativity is truly eye-catching. Even though these tools look unconventional, they actually help farmers work faster and more efficiently. It just proves that limited equipment is never a barrier to staying productive.
The owner came up with a genius idea that made him a fortune. He bought a basic hand press to smash whole potatoes.
This guy wanted to prove how much gold he pulls out of this river every day, because no one believed that gold could actually be extracted from a river. So today, he decided to show real proof live. Once he felt that enough gold had collected inside his machine, he started removing it piece by piece. Then he melted it to show exactly how much gold he had gathered in just 2 hours. This guy wanted to prove how much gold he pulls out of this river every day, because no one believed that gold could actually be extracted from a river. So today, he decided to show real proof live. Once he felt that enough gold had collected inside his machine, this guy decided to insulate his house with a special material.
This is what happens when a judge has sharp
A simple yet highly effective.
This is the world's cheapest helicopter, and you can actually buy it. It was made by Xiaomi. It's made for just one person, and it's fully electric.
You won't believe this. He built a house in just $10. First, he digs the ground and fills sacks with soil. Then he arranges those sacks perfectly and builds strong walls. Now he provides wooden supports, puts glass panels on top, and the roof is ready. Then a special bed is made from bricks, which is hollow from inside, and a pipeline is installed for the smoke. As soon as the fire burns below, the entire bed heats up and the smoke goes straight out. This is how a warm house is built on a low.
This husband showed his wife a Labubu toy on his phone and told her to swipe the screen. When she swiped once, she got a Labubu toy.
This isn't an ordinary glove. It's a stainless steel, cut-resistant.
She was sure this costume would make her look just like a real lion, but the closer she got to wearing it, the more nervous.
This is the most disgusting phone in the world because it doesn't break even if you try to break it. You can bang it hard, hit it with a hammer, set it on fire, knead dough with it, or even make an omelet, but nothing works. There's even a 20-year refund guarantee if you
Have you ever wondered why some newborn babies already have teeth? But before that, if you still have teeth...
Uncle, please hurry and give me a haircut. I have to go to a wedding.
Okay, I gave you a sandal haircut. Look, I made a sandal shape on your head.
Uncle, what kind of haircut?
Have you ever wondered why shoes from the olden days were so comfortable? In the 1700s, cork became very popular in Europe. Cork is a light, soft, and flexible material obtained from tree bark. Its greatest quality is that it absorbs shocks, making walking more comfortable. Cork was used in the soles of classic old shoes to give the feet comfort and make the shoes last longer. Plus, cork is a natural material that can be obtained without cutting down trees. Have you ever wondered why shoes from the olden days were so comfortable? In the 1700s, cork became very popular in Europe. Cork is a light, soft, and flexible material obtained from trees.
This machine is actually a training tool for people who apply paint protection.
Look at this girl. She puts a wooden handle into this machine and
This construction worker is seriously smart. When building stairs, he no longer nails each step directly onto the floor like before. Instead, he designed a clever... This boy is showing that he has installed a tap in his house that brings water from the sky. With just a small twist, the tap shuts off and turns into a waterfall. Twist it a little more, and water starts falling from above.
What you're seeing is a 100-year-old fishing technique. In icy regions, fishermen...
Why don't people make a home entrance room? It prevents cold from entering. First, a concrete slab is laid. Then, a wooden frame is built very quickly. No heavy machinery needed. In just a few days, the entire room is ready. The best part is that the cost is very low.
This man did not know at all that this stone would change his life. He brought it thinking that he would cut it and make a food bowl from it. But after cutting continuously for many hours, the blade kept breaking again and again. Then he started to doubt that this might not be a normal stone. Still, he did not give up. It was the hardest stone he had ever found, so he kept polishing it until it became smooth.
People are mad at these people for turning this river green, but they're actually wrong. Because every year on St. Patrick's Day, plumbers dye the Chicago River green. The tradition started in 1962, after plumbers used green dye to trace pollution leaks. Despite what people think, the dye isn't harmful, it's non-toxic, and fades within hours. People are mad at these people for turning this river green, but they're actually wrong. Because every year on St. Patrick's Day, plumbers dye the...
How does painting wires black make them almost invisible? This artist got paid $10,000 just to smash these perfume bottles. Because what she does with them next is going to shock you. After smashing them, she starts decorating each piece inside a frame like diamonds. And at first, everyone thought the company wasted money on this custom art. But here's the final result. This artist got paid $10,000 just to smash these perfume bottles. Because what she does with them next is going to shock you. After smashing them, she starts decorating each piece inside a frame like diamonds. And at first, everyone thought the company wasted money on this custom art. But here's the final result.
Did you know watermelon can be grown without regular irrigation? In some dry regions, farmers insert the watermelons.
When I was little, my father bought me this chair. When I started school, my mother gave me this.
Come on, everyone, hurry up. The train is about to leave.
Hey, brother, help me, or the train will leave.
Yes, ma'am, let me help you. Give me the child. Come on, everyone, hurry up. The train is about to leave.
Hey, brother, help me, or the train will leave.
Yes, ma'am, let me help you. Give me the child.
Now, I'm gonna board the train too. Hey, friend, why did you close the door? Open the door.
Hey, ma'am, what happened? Why are you bothering me?
My son is stuck inside. Please.
In the dusty roads of Australia, a man experienced something unexpected and remarkable. On the side of the road, he found an abandoned creature in desperate need of help. It seemed almost skinless, no different from an infant, an indescribable being. The man decided to intervene and took the forlorn creature under his care. He took it home, tenderly nurtured it, and nourished it with warm milk. He also cared for its broken hind leg. Over time, he realized that he had rescued a vulnerable kangaroo, Joey. A surprising friendship blossomed between them. The kangaroo became his constant companion. In the dusty roads of Australia, a man experienced something unexpected and remarkable. On the side of the road, he found an abandoned creature in desperate need of help. It seemed almost skinless, no different from an infant, an indescribable being. The man decided to intervene and took the forlorn creature under his care. He took it home.
This man was sleeping inside the house. Suddenly, he heard his daughter screaming in fear outside.
What?
And hearing her...
This woman is having a meal with her boyfriend when her finger accidentally touches a still hot glass. Feeling the heat, her boyfriend
This solitary wasp carries larvae one by one into a hole in the wood. They are not her children, but food supplies for the offspring that will hatch inside the nest.
These days, people are removing tiles from their homes and switching to epoxy flooring because installing tiles takes a lot of time and money, but epoxy flooring is much better. You just have to spread the epoxy resin on the floor, and you can create different designs using different colors, but the best part is that it dries very quickly and is much cheaper.
This is the moment you need to back away immediately, because this is the last stage before escalation. He is digging the tusks like this to read the ground and your position. Moving any closer can be seen as a direct challenge.
That's why you should never fully trust an artist. First, he sticks a simple wallpaper inside a metal drum. Then, he places a perfectly round mirror at the bottom, and that's when the real mind game begins. He adds a thick rope, a tiny wooden ladder, even an old vintage lantern. But the real trick? It's not any of that. The moment he puts a glass lid on top, your brain completely loses it. It feels like staring down...
Did you know pistachio shell?
This man lost his wife years ago, and when he visited her grave with his daughter, she surprised him with a special gift and asked him to open it right in front of her mom's grave. When he opened it, he found a small note inside, telling him he was going to be a grandpa because she was pregnant with her first baby. But when he saw this, his face instantly...
This is the biggest rubber scam ever, because when tons of raw rubber arrive, the worker cuts it open...
This guy had been waiting all winter to try the Makita 12-inch snow thrower, and he finally got his hands on it. The snow hadn't been cleared since winter started. It had gone through negative 30-degree temperatures, and in the last few days, it even warmed up above freezing. He's running it on Makita's 40-volt system and pushing it hard through deep snow. It handles the
As soon as this man was asked to make the best cake in the world today, he started making it, but before that, he slowly built a wall of chocolate pieces and then began making the whole cake around it. He did this because if the cake turned out even a little better...
This is a trap, but it's so well made it looks part of the ground. If you touch it, you could be attacked. But if, before touching it, you make a loud and vibrating noise, when opening it, nothing will happen. But if you don't make noise and open it straight away, this will happen. This is a trap.
As soon as the daughter sat in the car, she saw her mother in the driver's seat instead of her father. Seeing their scared faces, the mother asked, "Why are you all scared? Can't a girl drive? I'll drive better than your father." Out of fear, the daughter said, "I'll walk."
A group of customers ordered the $200 ice cream tower but had no idea what they were signing up for. At first, it looks like a regular ice cream tower, but then the workers start adding random fruits and cereal. But that's not the weirdest thing, because as they keep building up the layers, they start adding ice cream cones and cakes to the tower, and they have to be extremely delicate because one little mistake could send this entire thing crashing down. But after topping it off with a Ritz cracker and...
This girl drives a truck to educate her younger brothers and sisters and help them achieve their dream. Whenever the truck is loaded, she has to unload it all by herself. To do that, she opens the heavy...
Did the Swiss build the most useless knife in history? While standard tactical blades are built for the kill, this red tool is a disaster.
This man wanted to see how his two dogs would react at different water depths. First,
with just a light press, you can cleanly snip off the tip of a cigar. But why do cigar aficionados intentionally cut the end of such an expensive product? A premium cigar can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, yet the enjoyment time is only about an hour. Despite the regret, they must deliberately cut the tip before lighting up. The fact is, every high-end cigar is meticulously hand-rolled by master craftsmen. Crucially, they tightly seal the cigar's head to prevent the precious aromas from escaping. Therefore, before smoking, one must remove this sealed portion. This action creates the vital airway, allowing them to fully draw and appreciate the cigar's original intended flavor profile. With just a light press, you can clean... When a water dispenser bottle is put into the ground, something gets sucked inside after a while. This is actually a simple method to easily catch a troublesome animal in the area. The animal When a water dispenser bottle is put into the ground, something gets sucked inside after a while. This is actually a simple method to easily catch a troublesome animal in the area. The animal is called a gopher, a creature that makes its nest underground and stores food. Although gophers have a cute appearance, their digging habits often devastate fields and have become a huge concern for farmers. To prevent this damage, various devices have been developed to exterminate gophers. There are methods like using a smoke gun to pump smoke into the burrow to drive them out, or using underground explosions to exterminate them. When a water dispenser bottle is For decades, people have tried every trick in the book to stop squirrels from climbing up their bird feeders. They once tried attaching springs to the feeders, but the squirrels were too clever. They simply used their heads to push the springs up and steal the food. Next came a spinning type of feeder. When a bird lands on it, it's fine, but when a squirrel tries to climb up, the feeder spins. For decades, people have tried every trick in the book to stop squirrels from climbing up their bird feeders. They once tried attaching springs to the feeders, but the squirrels were too clever. They simply used their heads to push the springs up and steal the food. Next came a spinning type of feeder. When a bird lands on it, it's fine, but when a squirrel tries to climb up, the feeder spins continuously, forcing them to give up. This war started because squirrels would often carry away too much food for storage, leaving nothing left for the birds to eat.
This video will take your breath away. This octopus took shelter in this plastic bottle because it lost its way home. Octopuses have no bones in their bodies, so they can enter any hole. If you don't want an octopus that lost its home at night to accidentally enter your bed, leave a like. This video will take your breath away. This octopus took shelter in this plastic bottle because it lost its way home. Octopuses have no bones in their bodies, so they can enter any hole. If you don't want an octopus that lost its home at night,
This smart guy noticed the water slide wasn't running at all. It looked so dry that no one could even move on it. So he scooped some water with his hands and poured it onto the slide, trying to make it a little slippery. But it still wasn't enough, and everyone stayed stuck at the top. They didn't give up. They kept pushing themselves forward with their hands, inch by inch. And what happened next was super crazy. But first, which water park would you take your best friends to? Abandoned park, ignore. Wave park, leave a like.
This guy was not convinced by the build quality of this plane because right after takeoff, he spotted an old piece of tape stuck to the cabin floor. Curiosity got the better of him, so he decided to peel it off. But then things took an unexpected turn as he quickly realized it would have been better to just leave it alone. This guy was not convinced by the build quality of this plane because right after takeoff, he spotted an old piece of tape stuck to the cabin floor. Curiosity got the better of him, so he decided to peel it off. But then things took an unexpected turn as he...
This man had 23 cars crash into his house. When Ray Minter was sleeping, someone drove a truck straight into his house.
Look, this girl made a big mistake after putting a lot of colored powder in her hair because she dreamed of becoming Harley Quinn. Her mom noticed it and got mad.
These two best friends made a big mistake because they spent all their savings on a room that looked like a disgusting garbage dump. Their families told them to give up, but they had a genius secret plan. They spent hundreds of hours blasting away the filth and building a custom wooden sanctuary with a stunning purple theme. It looks like a 5-star masterpiece now, but sadly...
These guys were ice fishing when one of them dropped their phone straight into the hole, so now they have to rescue it in the most creative way possible. People said this guy must have cheated because in this competition, the pumpkin...
People think this tourist attraction is a giant scam because in China, tourists throw coins at this bell and if they hit it...
Perhaps this is why Bangladeshi farmers earn thousands of dollars from coconut trees. Children here are trained from childhood to climb tall coconut trees. When the tree stops bearing fruit, the sap is collected by making a slight incision. This sap is then boiled down to make natural coconut jaggery, which sells for a high price. Later, the same tree is cut down and hollowed out to make boats, meaning one tree, many benefits. Perhaps this is why Bangladeshi farmers earn thousands of dollars from coconut.
Imagine this. Ronaldo and Messi are watching their sons play football in a park. Suddenly,
This man invited his girlfriend to have a long distance.
This man was just taking out this small rock from his tire.
These little rocks right here, that can mess up your tire real bad.
This is the harvesting process of a plant whose tree is rarely known by many people. The blue.
This is why you should never trust brand ads. This company went viral after showing their shoe inside a water tank.
As this rowboat pulls up next to a massive cruise ship, it looks like something straight out of a pirate movie. But instead of boarding the ship, these men do something way smarter. They lock themselves alongside the ship and start tossing items onto the deck. They've been doing this for so long, they almost never miss. At first, you might think they're giving gifts.
this thin girl had to pass through narrow obstacles to win an iPhone 17. She easily passed the first
At first glance, it might seem like this man is making tiles, but no, this is a parapet casting mold. First, concrete is poured over the sand and leveled thoroughly so that after drying, the real reason American eggs would rot on a European counter isn't because they are dirty, but because they are too clean. You see, when a hen lays an egg, she naturally coats it in a protective biological seal known as the bloom, which physically locks out bacteria. But US laws force factories to blast eggs with chemical showers. This aggressive cleaning instantly strips away that protective layer that leaves the shell defenseless, which is the real reason American eggs would rot on a European.
Everything is much worse than it might seem at first glance, because when he came to the cows to feed them, he noticed a terrible picture. Everything started flowing out from the huge barrel, and the smell was simply
In Germany, they have a strange tradition that's secretly dangerous. When this woman went to a bar, they forced her to take off her shoe in exchange for one huge glass of beer. But the catch is that if she can't finish this entire drink in under 5 minutes, they keep her shoe forever. And if she beats the clock, not only would she get her shoe back, but she wouldn't have to pay. But the reason this challenge...
This man had bought a new car, but he was really cold, so he immediately went into the car and took out all the seats. Then he removed the interior carpet and threw it out. After that, he made a hole on top, put the seat...
This man had a weird feeling that there's something inside his banana tree, so he grabbed a machete and made a couple of cuts near the base, slicing off a big chunk of the trunk. Suddenly, the tree burst like Niagara Falls, spewing water everywhere like it was trying to drown the backyard. But that's nothing compared to what's about to come, because as the...
At a coconut plantation in Vietnam, when coconut trees are cut down, workers position a small handcart beneath the tree.
If you can't pass this test, you will never become a firefighter. This test is called a technical leak test.
Perfect greens don't just happen, they're the result of relentless care. We clear every fallen leaf and tiny pebble because even the smallest debris can ruin a putting line. We pull weeds before they spread, keeping the turf clean and healthy. Clearing the frost from the night before is just as important.
This isn't a movie scene.
This elephant was bullied by its herd and pushed into the water, but there was nothing he could do and no one's there to save him. The reason this elephant was bullied was because
this guy is a real genius, because instead of buying an expensive and ugly fence, he installed several reinforcing bars in the ground, wrapped metal mesh around them, and then began to fill the entire mesh with a large amount of cement. Now he is using his hands and tools to shape the concrete into the desired form and appearance, as if it were tree branches, and after the
Why do banana farmers cut down the whole tree instead of just picking the fruit? You may think they're destroying a healthy tree for no reason. But
this is banking, and
Who would have thought fresh sugarcane could turn into this? Workers crush stalk after stalk, sweet juice flooding the barrel. The leftovers, dried, burned, reused as fuel. The juice boils, foam rises, heat thickens it into syrup. The color deepens. This ingenious guy came up with an idea of what could be made from a...
Don't wear these shoes until you know this. Back in 1989, Nike shocked the market with the Nike Air Freshen, a sneaker you could literally inflate. But there was a catch. Pump them too much, and the shoe would get uncomfortably stiff. The crazy part? With a single button, the whole thing would deflate back to normal instantly. Don't wear these shoes until you know this. Back in 1980...
Those of you that will... These girls were lost at sea, so they fired a flare and hoped someone would see it. But it was daytime, so they didn't think it would work. Hours passed, and they kept drifting with no help in sight. Then...
This woman received a gift with a very suspicious shape. Just from its size and weight, everyone around became curious. The more they looked at it, the stranger it seemed. When she finally...
This is why many sellers have stopped setting up stalls for this honey cake when
These are not normal masons. Their work style is a bit unusual because instead of using a tool to...
Watch closely. This isn't war training. It's a clever trick to save food. When chickens are fed directly, they eat less, and there's more wastage. So this man takes a pipe, cuts the top...
This dad was changing his son's socks when he noticed something shocking. At first, everything looked...
The man you see casually walking across street. This ingenious man never throws away empty glass bottles because anyone can make thousands of useful things from them. This time, he decided to show how he makes two cool items from one bottle. Ever seen palm oil made like this? This is Nigeria, Africa. Locals drop a special fruit into a metal drum filled with wooden spikes. Strong men twist the center.
Help me!
This man was vlogging when something strange caught his attention. A flight attendant stepped out of the plane's lavatory looking suspicious, as if that was...
These boys from China created a science project that left even their teacher astonished. They held 2 square frames with a lot of wires attached to them, which at first glance looks like just a bunch of wires. However, when they suspended it in the air, everyone's mind was blown because that same bunch—
Oh my god, Dad! Run right now!
Officer, I found a backpack.
Check what's inside.
Ugh.
This man is a bodybuilder, and as soon as his child was born, he started him on this path. Before the baby was even 6 months old, he made foam weights for him and helped develop his muscle memory. The man's efforts continued for years. The child
This genius new invention for packing fragile objects will be able to reduce the number of breaks in transit by 8 times. It works by filling a small bag with a liquid that quickly expands due to a chemical reaction filling the space around the object within seconds. The process is repeated for the top.
When this guy discovered left-handed and right-handed pencils, he realized he had stumbled upon one of the craziest scams ever.
Right-handed carpenter pencil, left-handed.
That's why you should never give up. Everyone thought the girl with the green ball was going to win, since she kept hitting one after another. But right when she was about to win, she ended up picking the wrong ball, giving the other guy his turn. So the moment he stepped up, he knew he only had 3 chances. He hesitated slightly on his second.
This is a traditional Chinese popcorn maker, where every kernel explodes at the
At first glance, this might look like a simple tie-dye shirt, but the process behind it is anything but—
This man takes large tree trunks and loves carving them into replicas of people's dogs who have passed away. These sculptures look incredible as he carefully studies photos and carves out every single detail of each dog. In the end,
this is why you should never jump into water without checking. Because when this father and son were going fishing,
most people cut pineapples the wrong way, but in Japan, they're the master of a tradition to it a much easier.
When this biker was riding past a cop, everything seemed normal, but then things took an unexpected turn. Because at the next red light, the same cop turns his lights on, but the biker has no idea why. Then another biker cop pulls up.
This homeowner saw a cat floating in his backyard, 3 feet off the ground. He stepped closer to check. No.
This is a new technique used by farmers to get a bigger harvest. He ties heavy weights to specific branches to physically force them to—
When they found a gun inside this bag with this machine, they knew they had made smuggling.
He was tired of his kids begging to go to the beach every week.
2, 1, go!
In China, there's a myth a lot of people believe in. If you can drive a nail
In the middle of the open sea, the fishermen slowly lift their fish trap with great effort. Water drips from the metal cage as it rises to the surface. Suddenly, dozens of fish are seen jumping. Seeing a can of cold drink in his elder brother's hand, the younger brother comes into the room from behind.
Have you ever wondered why kids in the Philippines carry spiders in their pockets? It sounds cruel, but it's actually— You must have never seen a bicycle like this because this boy living in Africa did not have money to buy a new bicycle. So he built his own bicycle using—
We all drink coconut water, but the coconut itself is a fruit that can grow almost anywhere, even without farming. You must have noticed that coconut trees are found everywhere along the seashore. In fact, humans did not plant them. Coconuts spread across the world on their own. Actually, a coconut has a natural waterproof system inside it, which allows it to float in the ocean for many months. When ocean waves finally bring it to the shore, it breaks there, and from that same spot, a new coconut tree starts to grow. We all drink coconut water, but the coconut itself is a fruit that can grow almost anywhere, even without farming. You must have noticed that coconut trees are found everywhere along the seashore. In fact, humans did not plant them. Coconuts spread across the world on their own. Actually, a coconut has a natural waterproof system
This is a dirty jewelry solution, as daily wearing of necklaces,
birthday cakes that made the birthday child cry. But first, leave a like and subscribe if you love your mother. Or if not, this spider will appear in your bed tonight. Maui cake expectation. The reality of—
Remember Samuel, the guy who— Look at how these 2 girls accidentally exposed a restaurant secret when a customer asked for a large cup instead of—
Hey, Mom and Dad, this is my friend Shailene.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Peters.
Please, call me Andrew. We're just getting—
Look, during World War II, soldiers started attaching soles to their boots the wrong way, so their footprints pointed in the opposite direction. And when enemy soldiers followed those tracks thinking they were chasing them, they walked—
Never pull grass growing between mountain stones. Locals believe this grass—
This is the process of making a boat, but this boat, or kayak, is made from a coconut trunk. Old coconut
Have you ever wondered why Japanese knives are so expensive compared to regular kitchen knives? There are two main reasons. First, a normal home knife often struggles to cut even paper, but a Japanese knife can slice through paper like butter. Tomatoes and onions get cut just by touching the blade. The second reason is the craftsmanship.
If this little guy ever runs out of salt at home, all he has to do is come to this lake and scoop up some of the sand. Except it's not actually sand.
Look, they start pumping air into the dough.
You might not believe it, but cake like candy is made using only...
Did you know? This is Caber Tops.
Why did this man suddenly cover his ears when he was hit by a lockdown?
This boy thought it would be a great idea to take a bite out of a tomato packed with salt, but the moment he did, he regretted it instantly.
As soon as this boy inserts earbuds into red wax, it turns into pomegranate seeds, and everyone thought he will sell these fake pomegranates, that's why he's making lots of them. But then he sprays a liquid inside...
As he cuts into this toxic plant, he's using a survival method that's kept people alive in the hottest deserts for centuries. Once the leaves are removed, he carries them to his cave to prepare them properly, because they can't be used raw. To remove the toxins, he builds a fire from scratch, breaking down dry wood, and starting it with a friction fire setup. He places the leaves into a handmade cooking pot, sealing the top with white sage, then lowers the pot into a shallow pit. Sand is piled up.
Did you know that people in Brazil build walls in a traditional way?
While paddling alone across Canada, this man spotted...
Look, this might be the strongest man alive.
This fish looks ugly at first, but it's actually one of the most impressive creatures you can catch. Because even though it doesn't look special, it's actually the largest reef fish on Earth, and catching one is like...
This child was sitting under the Golden Man when the Golden Man suddenly sat down on top of him without using anything for support. The child looked under him in shock, trying to see if he was using a chair or some hidden object. Then the Golden Man stood up and bent his whole body forward, and the child's mother, impressed by the performance, put some money into his box.
Why on earth do banana farmers cut down the entire tree after harvesting? It seems like it would be better to wait for it to bear fruit again, right? Actually, this has to do with a little-known fact about banana biology. What we think of as a...
While the girl was walking down the street, the restaurant staff drugged her and knocked her out. They took her inside, tied her hands, fed her good food, unlocked her phone using Face ID, took the payment, and then kicked her out of the restaurant. While the girl was walking down the street, the restaurant staff drugged her and knocked her out. They took her inside, tied her hands, fed her good food, unlocked her phone using Face ID. If you ever see a body moving in a morgue, don't panic right away, because this kind of phenomenon can actually happen. It's called the Lazarus sign. A body may show sudden...
You might be surprised at how dirty dreadlocks can get once they're washed. The moment they're dipped into water, the water turns cloudy, almost like rinsing out an old drain that hasn't been cleaned in forever. A lot of people only wash their... You might be surprised at how dirty dreadlocks can get once they're washed. The moment they're dipped into water, the water turns cloudy, almost like rinsing out an old drain that hasn't been cleaned in forever. A lot of people only wash their dreads every 6 months, mainly because one wash can cost around...
This man dares to slide down a sand dune at full speed. At first, it looks completely under control, but seconds later,
Look, this is a parking place where dogs park